Ever heard of the Pied Piper of Hamelin? Most of us know the story from a picture book or maybe a cartoon. A town overrun with rats, a magical piper who leads them away with his music, and a happy ending. But what if I told you the story you know is a lie? A sanitized version of one of history's most chilling and unsolved mysteries. The real story isn't a fairy tale. It's a horror story rooted in a real historical event. To find the truth, we need to travel back to the year 1284, to a German town called Hamelin. Back then, Hamelin had a serious problem. A massive rat infestation was plaguing the town, spreading disease and devouring their food stores. The people were desperate. Then, one day, a mysterious stranger appeared. He was dressed in colorful, mismatched clothing, what they called pied back then. He was a piper, and he made the town leaders a simple offer. For a certain price, he would get rid of every single rat. The mayor and the town council, seeing no other option, agreed to his terms. The piper took out his magical pipe and began to play a strange, hypnotic melody. And just as he promised, the rats started pouring out of the houses, the cellars, the sewers, thousands upon thousands of them, all mesmerized by the tune. The piper led the massive swarm of rodents down to the Weser River, where they all marched into the water and drowned. Hamelin was finally free. The townspeople celebrated. Their nightmare was over. But their relief was short-lived. When the piper returned to the town hall to collect his payment, the mayor and the council, now that the threat was gone, had a change of heart. They scoffed at him, refusing to pay the agreed-upon fee. They thought they could cheat this strange musician and get away with it. They were wrong. The piper left without a word, but his eyes held a silent, chilling promise of revenge. He returned a few weeks later, on June 26th. It was a holy day, and all the adults of Hamelin were gathered in the church for service. The streets were quiet, except for the sounds of children playing. The piper, now dressed in a grim hunter's outfit, walked into the center of town. He raised his pipe to his lips once more, but this time, he played a different song, a beautiful, enchanting melody that floated through the air, more captivating than the first. This tune wasn't for the rats, it was for the children. One by one, the children stopped their games. They came out of their homes, their eyes glazed over, drawn by the irresistible music. Boys and girls of all ages, 130 of them in total, began to follow the piper. He led them, just as he had led the rats, through the cobbled streets and out of the eastern gate of the town. The adults, locked away in their church, heard nothing. The procession of children followed the piper towards a mountain just outside of town. A cave opened up in the hillside, and the piper walked inside, the children trailing obediently behind him. And then, just as suddenly as it appeared, the entrance to the cave sealed shut. The children were gone, vanished forever. When the church service ended, the parents returned to a silent town, a horrifying, deafening silence. Every home was empty of its youngest members. Frantic searching revealed nothing. Only 2 children were left behind, one who was blind and couldn't see where to go, and another who was deaf and couldn't hear the music. They couldn't explain what had happened. All they knew was that their friends were gone. 130 children, swallowed by the earth, never to be seen again. Now, this is where the story gets truly terrifying. This isn't just a Grimm Brothers Grimm tale. The town of Hamelin is real, and this event seems to be based on a real, historical tragedy. The oldest record of this story isn't in a fairy tale book, but on a stained glass window that was placed in the church of Hamelin around the year 1300. The window is long gone, but historical accounts describe it as depicting the piper leading away the colorfully dressed children. Even more disturbing is a town record from Hamelin, dated 1384. It doesn't tell a story. It simply and ominously states, "It is 100 years since our children left." This wasn't a myth to them. It was a historical marker, a day of remembrance, for a catastrophic loss that the town never recovered from. For centuries, it was forbidden to play music or dance on the street where the children were last seen. So what really happened to the children of Hamelin? Historians have debated this for centuries, and there are several dark theories. One theory suggests the piper was a recruiter for the disastrous children's crusade. A tragic movement where thousands of children marched off to the Holy Land, only to be sold into servitude or die along the way. Another theory points to colonization. During this period, German rulers were looking to populate parts of Eastern Europe, and it is possible a charismatic leader lured the youth of Hamelin away with promises of a better life only for them to meet a grim fate. Perhaps the most plausible and tragic theory is that the story is an allegory for a plague or a natural disaster. A sudden outbreak of disease could have wiped out the town's children in a very short time. The piper would then be a personification of death, leading them away to the afterlife. The story of the rats, which was added to the legend much later, might have been a way to explain or soften the incomprehensible horror of losing an entire generation. We will likely never know the full truth. The silence of those 130 lost children echoes through history, a haunting reminder of a real-world tragedy wrapped in the cloak of a fairy tale. The Pied Piper isn't just a story about keeping your promises. It's a ghost story, a historical marker of a day when a town lost its future, and the melody of his pipe still lingers, a warning from the past about a debt that was paid not with gold, but with children. Thanks for watching, and if you found this dive into the dark side of history interesting, be sure to like and subscribe for more.